Alrighty, everybody, it is currently Saturday, November 22nd, 2025, and I'm coming at you live from Sudan. And I'll be honest, I don't know what these fucking people are complaining about, alright? It's perfectly fine here, right now. Alright. I do have a cough drop in this episode, so there probably will be a higher amount of disgusting mouth noises than usual, but I'm doing it to prevent the most disgusting mouth noises, which is me hacking up thick, tar like globs of phlegm from my lungs and throat and stuff. This sickness, I don't know. Like I said, I've been sick. I've been sick all week, and lots of fluids coming out of several orifices of my body, specifically my nose. Despite the fact that I'm really not that sick anymore, my nose is still running, dude. I mean, call it Usain Bolt, call it a Mexican who just got over that fence because it is running like crazy. And it's running like crazy now, but earlier in the week it was just absurd how much was coming out of my nose, which I guess is a good thing because the reason that you get like, you know what I mean, like mucus and all that stuff in your nose and your throat and your lungs is because it literally like physically traps the virus, I guess. And so you're supposed to be constantly like blowing your nose and like coughing up and stuff, right? So that you can get the virus out of your body. But it's just so disgusting. And I'm such like a cheap individual and just lazy, really. I like to say I'm cheap. I'm just lazy. I just don't want to go to the store, dude. Right? Like the only reason I've been able to lose weight is because I'm as lazy as I am. Like I'm not gonna go to fucking McDonald's. I'm not gonna go to the grocery store and get a fucking bag of chips. I'm just too lazy for that. But I'm a very lazy and also I am cheap. And so I didn't buy tissues. Because in my brain I was like, why would I use tissues when I have perfectly good dirty shirts here that I can blow my nose into? And I was like, I'll just blow my nose into these shirts and then wash them, and it won't be any more disgusting than the, BO and sweat and just various bodily secretions that my shirt soaks up every single day. It won't be any like grosser than that. It'll be able to wash out just fine. No, it won't, dude. No, it fucking won't. First of all, I think one of the washing machines in my dorm is broke because every time I use that one, it's this one specifically, it takes 4 hours for it to clean the thing, and it doesn't, or for it to clean the clothes, and the clothes don't really end up that clean. Like, you think if they're in there for 4 hours, I think it just stops working, like halfway through, and then it starts working again. Um, but anyway, I put the snot covered shirts in there, being like, this thing will fucking handle it, dude. And then I didn't even look at them, and I just threw them in the dryer, and I was going to like put all of them up, and all of them looked like it looked like a motel room. It looked like it was absurd. Just like the splotches of like whitish, you know what I mean? Cum jizz. It looked like my shirts were just covered in jizz, which it, for me, that's not super unrealistic. Not this week specifically, actually. This week, I haven't I haven't pulled the putt at all, dude. I haven't choked the chicken. I haven't I haven't beat the redheaded stepchild at all this week, if you know what I mean. And so yeah, it was just snot all over my shirts. And so I washed them again, but still, it was just crazy being like it didn't even like I don't even know. I don't even think that washer works, to be honest with you. Because it didn't, there was no change in like the coloration of like the dried snot on these shirts. And then I put them in a different washer and it worked just fine. But it was crazy, dude. I was like, thank God I caught that before putting that on and going out. But I mean, to be fair, I do have kind of a gooner look about me, so everyone would just be like, "Yeah, that makes sense." You know what I mean? The glove fits. The the glove would have fit in that specific situation. But this sickness I've had all week, it hasn't been kicking my ass that much. It's just been hard to like go places and do things because I had a fever for a couple of days, but I didn't feel that bad. But like I said, just the the flood of human fluids coming out of and I was pissing like a racehorse too, dude. When I'm sick, I chug as much water as I possibly can. I don't know if that helps at all, but I don't something about seeing clear piss. I'm like the things are getting better. I'm healthy right now. Like if if my piss isn't Simpsons yellow, then I'm like, dude, I could do a triathlon right now. Um, and so yeah, just pure fluids coming out of my body. So I skipped a couple of days of classes, and really, the thing about college is unless you're going to Harvard or MIT or whatever, you're not. It it's kind of all the same. You know what I mean? Like people will kind of look down on people who went to JUCO or whatever, and maybe in some cases those people should be looked down upon, but the education isn't any better or worse. Like, at- and so you can skip a couple days, is what I'm saying. Unless you're going to Harvard or MIT or Stanford or one of those fucking schools, you can skip a couple days. If your school has the name of a state, you know what I mean, in its name, then you're good. You know, you don't got to go to class. It's not going to affect you that much. And your education, it isn't what you think it is. You know, I hate to break it to people. It, it's you really got to get high up for the education to mean anything. And even then, I feel like it really doesn't mean that much, dude, because you can go to Harvard and get like a degree in English. That's not a degree. I'm sorry, English isn't a college degree. You know what I mean? Like it is you learn a lot about English and literature and stuff and all that, I'm sure, and you become an expert in that, but it's not a real degree. It means nothing. Anybody can crack open a Shakespeare play or whatever. It it's just you just don't want to get a job yet. You know what I mean? If you're going to get like an English degree or something like that, dude, like Tyler Perry, I don't know what that motherfucker has a degree in, but he's the greatest playwright of the 21st century. All right? Tyler Perry is the greatest playwright of the 21st century. And I don't even know if he went to college. No, Tyler Perry definitely went to college. He went to like one of those black colleges that has those corny fucking black frats, dude. It's I don't know if you guys are aware of these, but there's this one black frat. I don't know what it's called, but it is the corniest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It is, it's it's bad, dude. And I don't know. I think maybe because it's like black people don't necessarily like call it out for being as corny as it is, but it is so corny. They have like a little dance that they do, and they have like a little hand thing that they do. It's like the fucking Cub Scouts or something like that. And yeah, it's just as bad as the white frats, and I would say it's even worse because all the videos I see of this black frat, I wish I knew what it was called. Sigma Kappa, fucking something like that. I don't know. But every video I see of it, it's like a 40-year-old dude doing it, and it's like I think in America we've been so conditioned to just be like whatever black people do is cool, which is true for the most part, but this is a rare exception to that case. It is the most lame, corny shit I've ever seen in my entire life. It's pretty, every time I see it, I cringe a little bit. And it's not just classic, like you see an old person do something and you cringe at it. It's not like that. It's like a deeper, like sad pity feeling whenever I see them do like their dance or put like they wear Letterman jackets and shit, and it's like this is all corny, like man child bullshit. And I do think because it's black people, no one says that about it, you know. And of course, the classic defense is like, oh well, it's part of black culture, and it's like, well, that's a lame fucking part of black culture, dude. Like I don't know what to tell you. It's lame and it's corny and it's fucking retarded. Um, but yeah, I'll see them doing that sometimes, and it really I feel bad and angry. I feel every negative emotion at once. You know, that I think that's why it's so hard to describe because it's not cringe, it's not sad. It's all of it all at once. It's probably the most emotional I get is when I see like those the black frat videos. I fucking forget what it's called, but it is and even when like the younger kids do it, it's still very very fucking corny to me. You know, because most frats is just white guys trying their best to get into the gray area of rape, right? That's what white frats are for the most part. It's either making connections or gray area rape. Those are the only two reasons dudes get get into frats or white dudes get into frats. And there's something there's just something so real about that. You know, there's something so authentic about it that I can't get mad at it. But when I see these dudes doing like their secret hand club dance or their secret club fucking hand signal or whatever, it makes me so mad. It pisses me right the fuck off. You know, um, and it's one of I think it represents a larger culture shift among in America where people are kind of being like, are black people not cool anymore? Because I think social media has exposed us to just like the general truth about groups in society that we're not necessarily used to. Um, and I think that's really had a negative effect on a lot of groups of people, right? Especially like the Indians. They've they've got really fucked up from this. But I think one people don't call out enough is like is black Americans. You know, I think social media has exposed the side of black Americans to me that has taken away a lot of the mystique, you know. Just like hearing black people talk about kind of the exact same things white people do, right? Like the introduction of like all these small black businesses or like black restaurants or whatever. I guess I'll give an example of it. So you've heard you've heard of like the um the millennial burger restaurant, right? I don't know if you guys know that meme, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Like $25 burgers with like a side of $10 truffle fries. It's called like fuck you burgers or whatever. Right? The owner wears black gloves and has a beard and like the walls are exposed brick and stuff like that. There's like a black equivalent to that. And the black equivalent to that, I guess, and this is according to all the black people I've seen, and they call it like shrimp Alfredo culture or something like that. Like I guess they're calling them like hood rich or like fake bougie or whatever. I'm guessing that's what that means. Um, but their equivalent of that is like brunch spots that have a grass wall and like a pink neon sign, you know, and just that's just one example. But like every lame thing that you can think of white people doing, black people do it too. You know, they just have some very cool things that they do as well, right? And I think that makes like the lame, corny things that they do even more lame and more corny, right? Or maybe not necessarily outright more lame and more corny, but definitely the perception of it becomes that it's more lame and more corny, right? because uh, for most of our lives as like Americans, right? We've been conditioned to believe black people, what they do is cool, right? And we've only seen the cool sides of it, right? The rap, the a lot of the movies, the comedy, all that sort of shit, right? And so when we get exposed to the fucking chicken Alfredo culture or whatever, and the fucking grass walls with the pink neon signs on them, and the hookah lounge brunch spots, right? Hookah lounge slash brunch spot where they're playing sexy red and people are twerking. You look at that and you go, that's some corny ass lame bullshit, you know? And like I said, the frats are just another example of that, or at least this one frat specifically. Um, and yeah, I think that's just social media has really taken a lot of the mysticism of like other people and other cultures away, right? Like India. People used to like look at India and be like, that's where you go to like meditate underneath a tree and like open your mind and be able to fucking communicate telepathically or whatever. And people look at India as like, you go to India, you're catching some sort of disease that was eradicated in America 300 years ago, right? Like that's how people view India now. Um, and I think India's got a lot of the shit from this, but I think black people or black Americans might be right around the corner with this, and not in like a racist way necessary. I know it sounds racist, but it's more of just it's actually the opposite of racism because it's exposing the fact that black culture isn't as cool as you think it is. There's some very cool aspects to it, but it's not just like the pure, you know what I mean, art and like I don't know, like nonchalant cool shit that you think of. Black people do a lot of lame, corny, performative bullshit too. You just don't really see it, if you're white or Mexican or whatever, because you don't live in those environments. But social media and the cameras being everywhere are exposing these facts to us, right? They're exposing the shrimp Alfredo at the brunch spot, right, with the grass wall. They're exposing these facts. And I think, in hindsight, the show Atlanta did a lot of that too, of like just showing like how being a rapper, right? It ain't all that, dude. And maybe it is. Look, because I love Donald Glover. Donald Glover to me is not like a paragon. Is that the word? I don't know if that's the correct word that I'm thinking of. He's not the epitome of black culture. You know what I mean in America. At least to me, he's like a funny guy and all that good stuff. Talented, good rapper, but I don't. I think me and Donald Glover might have the same the same um sort of deep knowledge as of black culture as each other. Right? Um but I do think that show it did do a lot of that. But I do think being a rapper probably is pretty sick. Being a rich person of any kind is pretty sick, but I do think being a rapper might be the most sick version of being a rich person because you're rich and cool, and uh, that's another thing that social media has taken away from us. The mystique regarding like the lifestyles and like just like the way rich people operate and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like Elon Musk is a prime example of that. Like, but in 2016, I don't know, maybe even up to like 2019, even later, but around that time, you know what I mean? Like pre Biden, I guess Elon was like cool. right? People were like, Elon, yeah, that's the guy that owns the the space company and the car company and all that. And he's like this rich billionaire genius. But as he got more and more into social media, people were like, no, this guy's lame as shit. Just like universally too. I don't think there's a single person out there left out there that's like, no, Elon Musk is cool. Like, everyone just sees him as like the lame fucking like gay dork that he is. He's a dweeb, and he's not even like a Bill Gates or like Neil deGrasse Tyson type of dweeb where it's like, yeah, this guy's a fucking lame dweeb, but at least he's smart. He's not even that smart, right? Like he's just rich. And that's I think one of the ultimate negatives of social media is that and I think it's like kind of the reason like the world is losing its magic is just because you understand everything and it's taking away magic and it's adding delusion, which magic isn't the same as delusion, right? Like magic, you look at something and you look at a magic trick and you go, I know this isn't actually a guy who's, communicating with the fourth dimension or whatever and having like a ghost move the card around. But you look at it and you choose to believe that you can't, that it is magic, right? While simultaneously understanding that it's not magic, right? That's kind of the thing that goes through your head when you look at a magic trick or whatever. But delusion is a little bit more of you believe what you're seeing. You know what I mean? Like delusion in the case of a magic trick would be believing that this guy actually has superpowers or whatever instead of kind of having a little bit of cognitive dissonance about it, right? Being like, this is something that I don't understand, and also being like, but it's not beyond my comprehension necessarily. You know, I think that's one of the major swap outs that social media did on us. That was just like a light little one. It was just things went from being magic to or perceiving things as like magic to being delusional about it. Um, and yeah, but social media has given us a lot of good things as well, right? Like that AI video of that baby laughing. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I sent it to my friend the other day, and he was just like, "What is this?" If you haven't seen this video, dude, look up baby holding in laugh AI video on like any fucking any social media. It's the funniest shit I've ever seen in my entire life. And if you choose to focus on that side of social media, then you won't be happy, right? In this day and age in America, you're not really gonna be super happy necessarily, but you'll laugh at that shit. You know what I mean? And if your algorithm becomes that of just trying to make you laugh, then yeah, your life is still gonna be depressing, but at least you're not gonna be, angry and like deluded all the time. Right? It's just the way you gotta do things. Just the way you gotta do things, dude. And I feel like that's the approach you kind of have to life as a whole, where you're just like, Yeah, man, am I ever gonna be able to afford a house? No. I- In by the time I die, am I gonna be 90% microplastics? Yes. But like, look at the video of this fucking baby laughing, dude. It's holding in its laugh and it's doing like a light skin type of thing. You just gotta look at the baby laughing. All right, you're not gonna get the fucking microplastics out of the water. They're literally micro. You can't. We can't even get the big plastics out of the water, dude. We literally have a patch of garbage the size of Texas floating in the Pacific Ocean. We're not gonna get the fucking microplastic out of the water. All right, we can't even get the macroplastics out of the water. So just enjoy the video of the baby laughing while your balls shrink and every woman in your family starts an OnlyFans. Just just move on with your life. All right, or do something about it. You gotta choose. You gotta choose kind of what you're gonna do. You either gotta live like that complacent middle America. If it's not directly in front of my face, then it doesn't affect me type of life, or you kind of got to become a terrorist. Those are really the two options I feel like for Gen Z, because this whole being angry on the internet thing and being delusional on the internet thing, it's not working out too well. So we have to choose either be a robot, just like a moron, mouth breathing, fucking drooling idiot who laughs at videos of that fake baby on TikTok, or become a terrorist and blow up, Amazon headquarters or whatever. Those those are your two options. Or blow up a school bus. This is if the FBI visits me, then maybe this podcast will blow up, but the AI is definitely going to hear this. It'd be like, we got to do something." They're definitely going to come for me after hearing this one, but at least that means someone's listening, dude. At least someone listened to my fucking podcast then. At least someone listened. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have much else to say on that topic. I already gave you the two paths that you can go down, and don't be a gay terrorist, dude. Just do it and get it over with. I don't want to see your manifesto or whatever. Don't have like some gay ass organization name like the Young Freedom Fighters or some shit like that. Just be a fucking terrorist, dude. That's that's one of the things that people don't call out ISIS for enough is just how corny ISIS was. It's like just kill the Kurds, just genocide the Kurds, dude. I don't need to see some video of you riding around in a truck trying to act tough, shooting a gun in the air. Just go kill the fucking civilians, man. Just go do it. I don't need to hear your message or whatever. I don't need to see you decapitate a guy live on TV. You can just tell me you did it, and I'm gonna believe you, man. I'll believe you. If you're gonna be a terrorist, be cool about it. Be nonchalant about it. Be like, yeah, I guess I blew it up or whatever, dude. I don't even fucking. I guess. Shit. It's just like another day in the life for me. Act like you've been there before. Alright? ISIS. Would you blow up a school bus? There's no school buses in Iraq, but would you blow up like a house filled with children? Act like you've done it before. I don't need to see some crazy, dancing celebration, hula or whatever. Just blow it up and act like you've been there before. All right, buddy. All right. Um. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I. That's my message to ISIS. My message. My message isn't stop doing it. It's be a professional. You know, have some decorum. Have some manners about you. All right. Be a professional. And that's my message to all the. No, I don't even. Because it's not. But whatever. What I was gonna say, I wasn't not gonna say it, or I'm not gonna say it because it's too offensive or whatever. I just don't. I feel like I could only push the FBI so far before they before they go. All right, dude. I understand that this is a joke, and more importantly, no one's listening to it. But we got to do something about this, right? And I guess that's the upside. Because if this had like 1,000 followers or whatever, or 1,000 listeners, and I said that shit, then maybe they'd come and get me. But I do have the benefit of having no listeners, or just a couple listeners. There is the benefit of that, of the FBI being like, dude, you can say literally fucking anything. We know no one's listening. All right, so so we're never gonna come and get you. God, I gotta stop doing my gay little dumb laugh at my own retarded jokes. Um, yeah. I got nothing else to talk about though. I was trying to think about what else I was going to talk about. Oh yeah. The other thing that I was going to talk about was um so I opened up like Spotify the other day. And Spotify for creators, which is like the website you use or the website I use to like upload the pod and all that stuff. And when I opened it, it was like don't forget to tell people to follow your podcast. And it was like the average podcast with the amount of listeners that you have has over 60 followers. And it's like, first of all, there's no way that's true. Like, this shit gets like maybe one or two listens a day, right? there's no there's no way the average podcast with one or two listeners a day gets has 60 followers. And it's like, even if it does, what does it fucking matter, dude? Like, seriously, what does it matter? It doesn't at all. Right? If it was like, if I had like 1,000 and it was like you could have 3,000, then I'd be like, okay, then maybe I'll say the gay little, YouTube mantra, like and subscribe or whatever. But 60, that's also nothing, right? We're going from nothing to slightly more nothing. it does not, it does not matter at all in any way, shape, or form how many people listen to this or follow this. Like, at all. Even if it had a ton of followers and listeners, it doesn't matter. I don't know. I just thought that was funny. Being like, oh, I could have slightly more than nothing. And it's not nothing. I do appreciate everyone that follows and listens and all that stuff. But it's not, it means something to me personally. But, but beyond that, it has no actual meaning, right? And it doesn't even really mean that much to me personally. It's not that, this is just like a fun little gay hobby that I do, that I enjoy doing. But it is very funny. Fucking New York Times, dude. Oh my god. No. Well, I guess we can't read our first article. Oh, well, here's another fun article we can read. The first article was going to be about Marjorie Taylor Greene, but I guess we're not doing that one. I guess she resigned or whatever. Uh, and she's how many fucking Congress people have resigned so far? I know Nancy Pelosi's out of the game. Finally, dude. What's she gonna do all day? She's not gonna have sex with her husband because he's gay. What the fuck is Nancy Pelosi gonna do all day, dude? You know, she's gonna find another way to give Israel money. That's what Congress people do when they retire. When Congress people retire, they don't go fly fishing or whatever. They start campaigning to become a private funder of the IDF instead of a public funder of the IDF. um, but I guess Nancy Pelosi retired or resigned, and so did Marjorie Taylor Greene. I guess it's over beef with Trump or whatever, which Nancy Pelosi might have like some actual disagreements with Trump, and I'm sure Marjorie Taylor Greene does too. But I do think this is a political move by Marjorie Taylor Greene to like set up a presidential run so that she can be like, I'm not like the last Republican president. I'm the new Republican president, and I'm better than the last one. Or I'm different, I'm not gonna send money to Israel and stuff like that, which yeah, that's just what every president does ever, or every politician does. Every high level politician just lies and then does whatever benefits them the most. But I do think this is a political move by old MGT. She might end up as a bit of an RFK though, because she does have just the things she said about Israel. I do think that America has a short enough attention span, and Israel knows that we have a short enough attention span to where she can come out in support of Israel, and no one will really call her out on it or notice because we all forget everything that happens. Um, but yeah, I do think that. Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG, or is it Marjorie Greene? Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I do think that she's gonna try to become the first female president, in which case we might see Trump run as a Democrat so that he can stop Marjorie Taylor Greene from becoming the first female president. But I do think she might get RFK'd a little bit. Maybe. If people can remember the fact that she talked all that shit about Israel, then maybe she's gonna get RFK'd and she's just gonna be in a cabinet position or whatever, assuming the Republicans win again. But even the Democrats, dude, she might hit us with the and come back as a Democrat. I don't know what MGT's got up her sleeve. Um, But yeah, I guess that's all I had about that. Oh, and also the whole Zoran Trump thing. So if you didn't see Zoran Mamdani, who was just elected mayor of New York, he visited Trump at the White House, and Trump was like kind of being funny and nice with him or whatever. And this one reporter kind of asked this passive aggressive comment where she was like, "Oh, if you want to be eco-friendly, then why did you take a plane to DC?" And Trump was like, he like kind of cut off Mom Donnie and like told the reporter to shut the fuck up, basically. Um, and people were like, "Oh my God, Mom Donnie's so charismatic that he even got Trump to like him." And I think this is what people don't understand. And I get that that's kind of a joke or whatever, but I think that's kind of the thing that people don't understand about how Trump won in the first place. It's because he's so charismatic, right? And he's a very obviously a lot of people don't find him very charismatic, but if you're in a room with Donald Trump, I don't care how far left you are, if you're in a room with Donald Trump and he's talking to you, you're gonna be like, you know what, I don't agree with his politics, but that's a good guy. That's a guy that I like. That's the type of person that Trump is. As a public figure, I feel like no matter how charismatic you are, there's gonna be people who dislike you. But one on one, like talking to a person, there is people who are just like that. What's the word? Magnanimous? I think that's the word. Where it's like you're just gonna like them no matter what, right? Because they're going to act like they like you. Um, and I think that's the thing that people don't really understand about Trump. It's like, why would this guy endorse Trump or whatever? Why would this guy? And it's like because he's really fucking charismatic one on one. I don't know. My doorbell started crying laughing. I don't know, maybe they heard all the retarded things I was saying, but who gives a shit? I'm retarded, and I'm proud. Okay, so this is our first article from ABC News, a nice lighthearted fun one. 14-year-old killed and 8 injured in shootings during holiday festivities in downtown Chicago. A 14-year-old is dead and 8 others were injured in a pair of shootings in downtown Chicago on Friday night, police said. Chicago police in holiday festivities, this better have been a Thanksgiving celebration. All right. You cannot be celebrating Christmas until Thanksgiving is over. And that's just a simple fact of life. All right. But anyway, so Chicago police said officers responded to a report of a shooting in the 100 block of South Dearborn Street around 10:40 p.m. and found 2 victims struck by gunfire. A male victim, 14, suffered multiple gunshot wounds and was transported to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. The second male victim, 18, suffered a gunshot wound to the leg and was transported to the hospital in serious condition. Less than an hour earlier, at 9:50 p.m., officers were on patrol in the 100 block of North State. What the fuck is a 100 block? Is that like, what the fuck? I don't know what that means. Is it like 100th Street and also North State Street? I have no idea. Um, anyway, so when they observed a large group of people on a sidewalk close to the Chicago Theater, police said, yeah, 7, goddamn. All right. Well, classic Chicago shit. Is Lori Lightfoot still the mayor of Chicago? I would, God, you gotta miss Lightfoot a little bit, dude. You gotta miss Lightfoot in these situations. Having her come out and a reporter being like, 9 people were shot on Friday alone. What do you have to say about that? And her being like, "Are you a white guy? Get the fuck out of here." Just ignoring the question entirely and attacking the person for their race. You have to love Lori Lightfoot for doing shit like that, you know? Former mayor of Chicago. Who the fuck is the mayor of Chicago again? I hope it's just Lightfoot 2.0, dude. I hope the mayor of Chicago is Lori Lightfoot in a mustache. Brandon Johnson. All right, let's get a look at this guy. He does appear to be an African American man. Um, yeah, this is not Lightfoot in a mustache, but I do think he does kind of look equally inept to me, but kind of in a different way. Like, he does have kind of a Trump quality about him, where he's like clean cut and all that stuff, and he's got his goatee is gray, but all the rest of his hair is black, and he's like it's all perfectly manicured and stuff like that. He has a Trumpish image about him, and I do think he maybe is kind of a complete moron. Um, but I don't know anything about him. But 9 people, 9 people's a lot of fucking people, dude. 9 people is a lot to get shot on in one day. That's in one day, and that's just what they know about, dude. Chicago is so fucking violent, and like the violence is so entrenched in that city that I'm sure there's, I mean, shootings every day that, or at least every week, that the police don't ever even hear a fucking word about. And if they do hear a word about it, they're not going to that fucking neighborhood, right? I'm sure that happens frequently in Chicago. But I don't, and people will blame it on like Democrat policies or whatever. And it's like, dude, the big cities, and this is true of like the right as well. But people will blame a lot of these issues being like, oh, this is because it's a Democrat run city or it's a Republican run state or whatever. And people will blame it on that. And I'm like, sure, that's part of the problem, but cities have always been like progressive or whatever, right? They've always had those ideologies in there. And like rural states have also always had conservative ideologies about them. And they haven't always been this shitty. Things are just getting shittier. It's not the fact that it's a Democrat-run city or a Republican-run state. It is that fact, but it's not that fact at the same time. It's not necessarily the policies of progressives or the policies of conservatives that are making things super shitty. It's the fact that the politicians, regardless of what party they're part of or regardless of what ideologies they pretend to um pretend to believe in, they're just shitty people and they just run things horribly, right? That, at least in my opinion, is why 9 people got shot in Chicago yesterday. Not necessarily because the mayor is a Democrat and it's a blue city, which, like I said, all cities are and have been for a long time in this country. It's not that. It's the fact that the guy running it is a fucking idiot who doesn't care about Chicago, and it's been that way for probably 2 decades at this point, and probably more than that. And the reason it wasn't that bad in the past is because they were riding the coattails of like the industrial age of Chicago, I guess. They were still riding high on that money and all that stuff. But I don't know, just some retarded shit I wanted to say. And so this is our next article here. So Colorado family, fucking hell, dude, getting a goddamn dog food ad. So Colorado family angered, disappointed, depressed at potential early release of driver who killed their son. The family of Magnus White received a letter from the Colorado Department of Corrections this week informing them that the woman who struck and killed their son It was a woman or an Indian, or maybe a Chinese, dude. If you hear 10 dead in semi-truck crash, it's an Indian. You know what I mean? If you're dealing with a one-on-one situation, it's probably a woman who killed him. So, uh, but anyway, informing them that the woman who struck and killed their son could be transferred from state prison to community corrections 3 months into a 4-year sentence. It came on the week when Michael and Jill White observed what would have been the 20th birthday of their son without him. They let the candles on a cake burn. They added a tree to the small memorial where a ghost bike remains in memory of Magnus. Okay, well that changes everything. I did not know this guy was a bike rider. I did not know that he was a street bike rider. Um, wait, I take that back. He might have not been a street bike rider. Let's read some more about this. So, the young cyclist was preparing for the upcoming World Championships in Scotland when he was struck. You're reading it multiple times, like, is this real? We just finished. Was he hit on his bike? We have to find this out. Oh my God. That lady is a dog. Her name is Yeva Smelianska. All right, let's figure this out, dude. He was biking on the paved shoulder of Highway 19. Dude, look, should this lady go to jail for the rest of her life? Yeah, probably. Or not the rest of her life, but she killed a person. She she killed the person. All right. Um, when people are like, "Oh, it was accidental," it's it doesn't really matter that much to me unless it's the person that was killed shouldn't have been doing the thing that they were doing. And I feel like in this instance, riding a bike on the side of a highway, this is going back to the thing I talked about last week, where it's like, if you're riding a bike on the side of the highway, should you get killed? No. Might you get killed? Yes. And that's just, it's not, it's sad. It sucks. It's a bit of a tragedy, but it's like, don't ride your bike on the side of the highway. You shouldn't be killed for doing it, but at the same time, that's the reality of the situation, is that you might get killed. Um, but yeah, she was sentenced to 4 years. I don't know how I feel about this. Was found guilty of vehicular manslaughter. Is she from Ukraine though? Her name was like Yeva Zemilinska or whatever, some shit like that. Um, Yeah, this bitch should stay locked up for a while. You know, if 3 months after killing someone, you're like, you don't feel any guilt about it anymore, I think you should stay in prison for the remainder of your life. If I killed someone, I would be like, kill me. Like, even if it was fully an accident like that, I'd still probably be like, and if it was like an innocent person, like if someone broke into my house and I shot him, I'd be broken up about it for a while, but I think I'd get over it. In this other instance, I probably would never get over it, and I'd probably be like, just kill me now. But whatever. I think we're at 45 minutes now. It doesn't really matter. Once again, I'm just doing this episode to prove to myself that I can. So I hope you guys have a good day, a good week, a good year, a good life. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.